This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Schilt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Padres, right-hander Stephen Kolek, and for the Pirates, left-hander Andrew Heaney. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Little Padres and pancakes for you on this Sunday morning. First pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt. We'll check in with Padres radio voice Jesse Agler in just a little bit. Our keys to the game, a full breakdown of our starting pitching matchup, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres come in 21-11, currently sitting in second place in the National League West, a game and a half behind the LA Dodgers. Padres are playing well. They've won 4 in a row, 2 against the Giants and 2 now against the Pirates. That came after a stretch where the Padres dropped 8 of 11 games. Padres currently in the midst of a 3-city, 9-game road trip. After this one, they head to the Big Apple for a 3-game series against the New York Yankees. Meanwhile, the Pirates come in 12-22. They've lost 6 of their last 7 games. Pirates struggling in the early part of this season. We had more rain before first pitch yesterday in Pittsburgh, but once again, the Padres made the game worth the wait.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
In the bottom half of the second, Randy Vasquez got the first 2 outs, but then a single, a walk. O'Neal Cruz hit an RBI single to make it 1-0 Pirates. That's all Vasquez got or gave up in the second. He got the first 2 outs in the bottom of the third, but then Emmanuel Valdez hit a 2-out single. He went to second base on a passed ball. That set things up for Ke'Bryan Hayes.
2-2, and Hayes waited on the breaking ball, lines it into center field, a base hit. Valdez rounding third. Lockridge comes up throwing. The tag at the plate, and he is meat. What a throw by Lockridge as Valdez is thrown out to end the inning.
Great throw from Brandon Lockridge, kept it a 1-0 deficit. Vasquez went 5. Pirates left 10 on base against Randy Vasquez. He walked 5 and threw 89 pitches. That was it for Randy. Big problem for the Padres. They had nothing going on at all against Bailey Falter, Pirates starting pitcher. Falter got through 6 innings, just 1 single given up. Padres had him put a runner on second base against him through 6. So Falter took the mound for the top of the 7th inning. Pirates still leading 1-0. Falter got the first out, but next up was Manny Machado.
1-0 pitch hammered in the air, deep down the left field line. This one is way back. Gonna go! Home run, Manny Machado. That'll tie the game here in the 7th inning, as Falter left a slider over the heart of the plate, and Manny did not miss.
Offense had been kind of sleepwalking. Manny Machado announces his presence, though. Hey,
Manny's 3rd home run of the season. That's all the Padres got in the top of the 7th inning. We went top 9, still tied at 1. Pirates righty David Bednar came in. Fernando Tatis Jr. hit a ground ball into left field and towards the line. He got the second base, hustling in with a double. Luis Arraez then grounded out to the left side with Manny Machado at the plate. Tatis stole third base. Manny struck out, so Tatis was 90 feet away from scoring with the go-ahead run. Xander Bogaerts at the plate.
And Bogaerts takes in the dirt. Fernando's going to try and score. Bart picks it up, lunges for him, and he's safe. Oh, what a play! Fernando came home on a ball in the dirt that kicked maybe 2 feet away from the catcher. Bart went up the first baseline to grab it, lunged to try and tag him out, and apparently missed.
Challenging the play at the plate.
Obviously, the Pirates will challenge it, but for the moment, the Padres ahead 2-1. And if this thing stands, Fernando Tatis Jr. just produced the go-ahead run all on his own.
Welcome to the Fernando Tatis Jr. show.
An absolutely amazing sequence by El Nino. Padres had a 2-1 lead. Robert Suarez issued a one-out walk in the ninth inning to put the tying run on base. Ryan Reynolds represented the go-ahead run.
Suarez turns around to check on Cruz. Now he's set 3-2, not running, and a line drive caught by Manny. Throw back to first base in time, and a double play to end the game. What a dynamic ninth inning here in Pittsburgh. And the two Padres superstars, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr., do everything offensively as the Padres beat the Pirates 2-1. They will break out their brooms here tomorrow afternoon and try for another sweep of the Pirates.
What a win for the San Diego Padres. Final score, Padres 2 and the Pirates 1. And now the Padres going for a 3-game sweep of the Buccos on this Sunday. Let's go out to PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Jesse, let's begin by firing up the old Hacky Jesse 5000. I know the tarp was out a little bit earlier in Pittsburgh. What is the latest with the weather in the Burgh on this Sunday?
Oh, isn't that always the question of the day here? Tarp is currently rolled up and put away, but don't let that lull you into a false sense of security, okay? There is the possibility of some rain between now and first pitch, which, of course, is just under an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
How heavy that rain ends up being, we will see. But then it should be clear most of the afternoon. And from a baseball perspective, that's obviously good news for the Padres and the Pirates. For a travel perspective, though, as both of these teams will head out of here after the game today, the Pirates are going to St. Louis. The Padres are going to New York. It's supposed to be big-time thunderstorms later this afternoon. So that could impact the travel and make it, maybe a longer day than it needs to be or otherwise would have been. But from an on-field baseball perspective, it looks like most of the afternoon will be good enough. The sun is sort of kind of out right now, probably the most we've seen it at any point in the last couple of days. But, it's Pittsburgh, and stay tuned, I guess.
All right. Well, thankfully, not too long of a flight from Pittsburgh to New York City. Hopefully, we stay away from the rain and get this game going at 10:35 a.m. here local time in San Diego. Jesse, before we talk about today's game, let's revisit that ninth inning, what Fernando did. I mean, one of the more amazing sequences you'll ever see on a baseball field. As you got a chance to see the replays and really digest it, how do you reflect on what Fernando did in that ninth inning?
It was awesome. Tony and I spent our entire little wrap-up segment after the game last night talking about it, and, we probably could have done an hour on it, and I'm sure you did a bunch on it in the post-game last night. It was just one of those sequences that, reminds you we're seeing a generational talent, a guy who is not of this planet. I saw him this morning, and I just said to him, "You're an alien." It's not normal. It's not stuff that we get to see ever, really, in this game. They're covering the mound, by the way, as we're talking, so FYI. But, everything about it, right? The double that shouldn't have been a double. He said, before the pitch, he looked out there. He saw that Canario was shifted just a little bit towards the gap, and he's thinking 2 all the way, which I don't know that there's another guy in baseball that would have been thinking 2 all the way in that scenario. And then to take third base the way he did, and then obviously, the coup de grace and that not-so-wild pitch that just barely trickled beyond the left-handed batter's box. He came in to score. Just purposeful, beautiful, dynamic baseball being turned in by Fernando in the ninth inning last night. Literally won the game, with those 3 plays.
Yeah.
And, it's been a little while since we've seen one of those, Fernando plays, capital F, capital P. We remember certainly the one where he tagged up from second base here against the Pirates back in, I guess it was 2019, 2018, whatever. And he had another one like that. I remember that same season. There was one, I think it's San Francisco. He scored from second on a ground ball to shortstop. I think there was another one either that year or the year after where he scored on a ground ball back to the pitcher. There was one, where he got out of the rundown against Atlanta or out of the pickoff against Atlanta at first base. with a matrix slide at second base. He's capable of so many incredibly special things, but between the health and the suspension, it had felt like a little while since we saw one of those, peak Fernando kinds of things. And then he sure supplied one last night, and it was incredible. It really was.
It really was incredible. And I said it on the post game yesterday. We so often hear Fernando talk about doing what the game asks for. And I thought that was a perfect example of it, of him understanding the situation, the moment, and really willing the Padres to a win last night. Jesse, quickly, let's touch on this pitching matchup today. Andrew Heaney on the mound for the Pirates. He's off to a really good start. We'll get deeper into him a little bit later. But right-hander Stephen Kolek will make, number one, his 2025 debut for the Padres, and number two, his first ever major league start. Again, we'll get a little bit deeper into the numbers, what he's done at AAA later, but what are your expectations today for Stephen Kolek?
I'm excited to see it. He was a starter his entire career until last season when he stuck with the Pods as a Rule 5 guy out in the bullpen. And, I think my sense last year watching him pitch in the first couple of months was, we're not really getting a full sense of who this guy is or what he's capable of. And then, he goes on the IL at the end of July and we never saw him again. Spring training was really impressive. I think he did just about everything you could have asked him to do this spring in his starting role. Then he goes to El Paso, and you said you're going to get into the numbers. Obviously, the raw numbers there in terms of runs and homers and ERA, always a little bit goofy because of the PCL environments. But he executed what they wanted him to execute. He was in the strike zone the way they wanted him to be in the strike zone. Those are the kinds of things that if he does it at the major league level will lead him to have success. For one, very few of these games are being played on the moon the way so many are in the PCL. And beyond that, you've got, unbelievable defense behind you in the major leagues. And so if he can be in the zone, today, the way he was in the zone this season with AAA El Paso, he'll have some success out there. I'm really excited for him. And it's one of those neat ones for sure that you get a little bit pumped up for.
All right. Hopefully Stephen Kolek puts together a good first start in the major leagues, and hopefully the rain stays away in Pittsburgh. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. For now, we will plan to talk to you and Tony coming up at 10:25 a.m. here in San Diego. As always, thanks so much.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed. That's Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. And look, if we get any kind of update on the weather, if the tarp goes on, we will tell you about it. But until that tarp goes on, no more mention of any rain here on the pregame coverage. As always, when we have a little Padres and pancakes for you, we invite you to get involved on social media. You can show me how you're enjoying Padres baseball on this Sunday morning before 10 a.m. Do you have the griddle going with the pancakes? Maybe you got the waffle maker out. Maybe you got a little yogurt with some granola. Maybe you have a nice little chia seed bowl. I had that this morning. Cup of coffee, maybe an iced coffee, maybe a nice latte, something like that. Let me know. You can send me a photo of how you're enjoying Padres baseball on this Sunday morning. You can find me on X, mention me, Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Send me a DM on Instagram, Sammy Lev there as well. You can send me a DM on TikTok, Sammy Levitt there, SammyLevitt, or you can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream, and we may just give you a shout out on the air on this Sunday morning. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Mike Schultz. Again, first pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. here in San Diego. Final game of this three-game series between the Padres and the Pirates. Padres looking for a three-game sweep and a fifth consecutive win. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues after these words on the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned to the
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. here in San Diego as the Padres look for a 3-game sweep of the Pirates and a 5th straight win. After this one, the Padres will hop on a flight to New York City, 3-game series against the Yankees tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Still a lot to do on our pregame coverage. We'll tell you who's hot, who's not coming up in just a little bit. Take a look at some major league headlines, keys to the game, and a full breakdown of our starting pitching matchup today. Right-hander Stephen Kolek making his first ever start in the major leagues in his 2025 debut for the Padres. Before we get to all that, let's hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability today for Mike Shildt. So let's revisit what the Padres manager had to say after yesterday's exciting 2-1 win. Randy Vasquez going 5 innings, dealt with a ton of base traffic. As usual, he walked 5 batters. Pirates left 10 on base against them through 5 innings, but the Padres tied the game with a Manny Machado solo home run in the 7th inning, tied it at 1, and then the amazing heroics of Fernando Tatis Jr. in the top of the 9th inning. Fernando stealing a run essentially from the Pirates, a double, a stolen base of 3rd, and then somehow, some way came home on a wild pitch that bounced no more than 5-6 feet away from home plate, and the bullpen shut the door on a 2-1 win, setting up the opportunity for the Padres to sweep this series in Pittsburgh. Here was what Mike Shildt had to say after yesterday's 2-1 win.
That 9th inning by Tatis, what can you say about him kind of just willing that to happen?
Yeah, willing's a good word. I mean, what a way to get to be the 7th fastest guy in the history of Major League Baseball to 100 stolen bases and 100 home runs. That's a pretty nice way of doing that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Pretty much a one-man show, right? It takes a team, but he was on display to help his team. And, the whole thing was just a clinic. They're playing no doubles, gets the ball down the line, and then he recognizes where the outfielders are playing and doesn't miss a beat from the very beginning. And had his on his radar from right out of the jump. His first 3 steps were phenomenal. So he puts the pressure, gets his second, and then he's hunting, and he looks up and trying to figure out a way to get to 3rd. And, now we got 1 out and Manny up, which clearly we have confidence in all those guys. But sees his opportunity, boom, pounces on it, gets to 3rd. And now, listen, we got 2 outs. We got their closer on the mound. Again, we trust our guys, but he's hunting. And he went for the kill. It's just one of the better baseball plays you're going to see. It's on point for any and everything. It's just great competition coupled with special talent.
How many guys do you think go on that where the ball does not really get that far away?
That's right.
And then beat it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, we do work on and emphasize and guys are continuing to work at and improve on. But to your point, to all the things leading up to it, the preparation, the right timing of it, getting down the line appropriately, and then seeing it and then being on a point to go do it and trust it and make a play. It's like I said, it's a complete clinic. It's something that we do this a lot. We clip up some of the really good things, not some of, but the really, awesome technical things about how we compete and send it to our player development system. And he just took our whole PD group around the bases on that one.
Just watching your guys enter the clubhouse, the togetherness of this group is very apparent. Was that something that you realized early on about this group, kind of their connectedness together? Yeah,
I mean, well, it's a continuation. I mean, this is the one thing we talked about, partnering with the group, because that's what we do. We partner together, staff, players. We're all in this together, and we're all responsible for each other. And so we take care of our business individually, but we do it collectively, enjoy each other. And it was something that, because if you're not together, you really don't have much. And this group is clearly together and getting closer. We started that beginning of last season, spring training, it was on display throughout the season, and now it only continues to get stronger and deeper. And there's a real love in this clubhouse for each other.
What did you think of Randy? Because once again, his only trouble was, walks.
I thought he was fantastic. I thought Randy was really, really good today. The box score with the 5 walks. Listen, he made a lot of quality pitches. We'll just say that he had a lot of close misses. But I thought he threw the ball exceptionally well. I thought he was in control of what he's doing. Him and Marty worked really well together. Made pitches when he had to. Liked the way he competed. Liked his rhythm. Liked everything about it. Everything was going where he wanted it to go. Not a lot of glove movement. I thought Randy threw the ball very well. Really, really pleased with him.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after yesterday's 2-1 win for the Padres in Pittsburgh. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up later on this afternoon. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for this series finale in Pittsburgh. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jason Hayward. You're listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
First pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. here in San Diego in Pittsburgh. We've got a little Padres and pancakes for you on this Sunday morning. You heard from Jason Hayward there. Jason not in the lineup today with the left-hander Andrew Heaney on the mound for the Pirates. Padres lineup looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. leading off in right field. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting cleanup. Luis Campusano DHing for a second straight day batting fifth. Oscar Gonzalez in left field batting sixth. Jose Iglesias at second base batting seventh. Elias Diaz behind the dish batting eighth. And Brandon Lockridge in center field batting ninth. And again, right-hander Stephen Kolek making his first ever start in the major leagues today and his 2025 Padres debut as the Padres look for a 3-game sweep. As always, we invite you to get involved on social media. Let me know, how are you enjoying Padres baseball on this Sunday morning? What are you doing? What are you eating? What are you drinking? You got the coffee machine brewing. Do you have the waffle maker making waffles? I was going to say waffling for a second. I guess you could say waffling. Waffle maker waffling. Sounds about right. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too. Or you can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. We've got a couple of comments. We've got that dude Keen, don't know if I'm saying that right, saying making a baguette and cheese while watching from France. Wow, from France. Baguette and cheese. Sounds good. Would love some French bread. We've got Jake chiming in, saying he's enjoying a breakfast burrito from a taco shop in South Mission Beach. All right, a lot closer to here. Both sound good. Baguette and cheese, and of course, a delicious breakfast burrito. As we get ready for this series finale, let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Bottom line, Padres only had 3 hits last night. One from Martin Maldonado, one from Manny, one from Fernando. Still won the game. So Luis Arraez took an 0 for last night, but we'll keep him in the hot category today. Luis is 6 for 16 since returning from the IL. Arraez batting .344 in his last 22 games since beginning the season. 0 for 16. Tyler Wade, not in the lineup today, but available off the bench. His last 7 games, batting .350 in 20 at-bats with a couple of extra base hits. The not category, we take a look at a couple of Padres who have not hit the ball well in this series. Jose Iglesias, 0 for 7 in the first 2 games of this series. Xander Bogaerts, 1 for 8 in this series, and both those guys in there today against the left-hander Andrew Heaney. And that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not on this Sunday morning. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Let's begin with an update on Yankees shortstop Anthony Volpe. He's not in the Yankees starting lineup today against the Tampa Bay Rays, a day after he injured his left shoulder on a dive while trying to get a ground ball. An X-ray after yesterday's game was negative, but Volpe wasn't sure whether he will have an MRI or additional testing. Let's focus on the Cubs' Pete Crow Armstrong. His last 17 games, this young player has been unbelievable, hitting .343 in his last 17 games to go along with 9 home runs. Yes, 9 home runs in 17 games, 6 doubles, 1 triple, 21 RBIs, 15 runs scored, and 6 stolen bases. He is the first Cubs batter to have at least 9 home runs and 21 RBIs in a 17-game span since Chris Bryant did it in 2019, and he's the only hitter in franchise history to hit those marks and have at least 6 stolen bases as well. He's playing really, really well. Really feeling like a budding star all of a sudden in PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. Couple of starting pitchers that return to the mound today, and we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard a little bit later. How about this? Lance McCullers Jr. Remember him? He faces the White Sox in his first outing since Game 3 of the 2022 World Series, a whopping 915 days ago. He takes the mound today for the Astros. He underwent surgery for a flexor replacement in June of 2023, then suffered a setback that sidelined him the entire 2024 season as well. So Lance McCullers Jr. finally getting back to a major league mound today, so good for him and good for the Astros. Ranger Suarez also making his first start of 2025. He was a first-time All-Star last season, but came down with back stiffness this spring. Fellow pending free agent Kyle Schwarber takes a wraparound 39-game on-base streak into today's matchup for the Phillies against the Diamondbacks. And that's a couple of headlines from the action today across the majors. And again, in our next segment, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. When we come back, our keys to the game, the out-of-town scoreboard, a full breakdown of our starting pitching matchup today coming up as well. First pitch at 10:35 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our pregame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Hello, this is Jan at Toyota.
Hi, Jan. Is now a good time to get a new Toyota for summer?
It is. We like to say your summer starts here at your Toyota dealer.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 10:35 a.m. in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We go out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. at 10:25. So in under 20 minutes, Padres come in 21-11. Pirates come in 12-22. Right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound for the Padres today. Left-hander Andrew Heaney on the mound for the Pirates. Heaney's been really good so far this year. We'll have more on him coming up a little bit later. Where's the music coming from? Anyway, let's give you our full injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
All right, we feel like we're going crazy here in the studio. Kyle and I heard that, but nothing's coming from my laptop, I don't think. My phone, nothing on the board. All right, let's get to our injury report. You know, it's always a little jarring when we're here in the studio. We start hearing things. You heard that, though, right? Okay, I don't know what's going on. To the injury report, 2 key Padres out on rehab assignments right now. Jackson Merrill at AA San Antonio. Yesterday, 2 for 3 with a walk. He played 7 innings in center field. The Missions take on the Corpus Christi Hooks today at the Wolf in San Antonio. Jackson expected to play again, and then we'll see. Sounds like a pretty good possibility that if all goes well today, he could be back in the lineup tomorrow in New York for the Padres. Jake Cronenworth played for the Arizona Complex League Padres yesterday. He was 1 for 3, had a single, and Jake also played 6 innings at second base. So very good stuff for Jackson and Jake. Seems like Jackson Merrill is on the precipice of returning, and Jake Cronenworth working his way back as well right now in the Complex League in Arizona. And that's a look at 2 key Padres who are on rehab assignments right now. As always, we invite you to get involved as we get ready for a little morning baseball here on the West Coast. Dan Pellegrino chiming in on Twitter saying, let's get greedy, pancakes Padres and a Pirates sweep and some Pods puppies too. He's got a photo of his dogs and looks like some nice toast and eggs as well. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
We take a look at key number 1, get the offense cooking again. Padres scored 21 runs in the 3 games prior to yesterday. Then even as they won yesterday's game, they had just 2 runs on 3 hits. So yesterday, despite winning, a very good offensive stretch before yesterday for the Padres. Again, 21 runs in the first 3 games of this 4-game winning streak. Want to get that offense going here today once again. That's key number 1. Key number 2, keep being careful with Cruz. The Padres' strategy against O'Neal Cruz has been really fascinating in this series. He's the best hitter in the Pirates lineup. Cruz is 1 for 4 with 6 walks. He's been on base a ton, but it's almost like the Padres have committed to not allowing Cruz, of all guys in that lineup, to beat him. It's kind of similar to how the Padres worked against the Cubs' Kyle Tucker. He was 5 for 22 with a home run and 5 walks in 6 games when the Padres played the Cubs, and the Braves' Marcell Ozuna, who was 2 for 9 with 7 walks in 4 games. Now, more examples of the Padres being really careful with star hitters in opposing lineups. It's been a strategy as of late, and they've been careful with Cruz. And even though Cruz has been on base, it's not like he's really hurt him. So keep being careful with O'Neal Cruz at the very top of that Pirates lineup. He hits the ball as hard as anybody in the major leagues. And key number 3, hit Heaney. Pirates lefty Andrew Heaney enters today's start with the 6th lowest whip in the majors at 0.89, the 8th lowest batting average against at 181. And again, you know, look, Andrew Heaney is not somebody that you would like think about as somebody who's dominant. but early this year, he's been really good. We'll talk more about Heaney in our next segment, but hitting Heaney and hitting a left-hander, which at times has been a struggle for the Padres this season, that's key number 3, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. Now let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at scores from around the major leagues. We have one game, actually no games going on right now. The one game that was supposed to be underway by now is in a rain delay. Surprise in New York. Rays and the Yankees are delayed before first pitch in the Bronx right now. Tarp on the field at Yankee Stadium. Doubleheader today between the Mets and the Cardinals. It is a split doubleheader. First game at 10:15 a.m. here in San Diego, and then the game later coming up at 3:15 Pacific time in St. Louis. So they're making up yesterday's rainout in St. Louis. Everything else coming up later as well. Royals and the Orioles at 10:35 in Baltimore. Michael Lorenzen on the mound for Kansas City. Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Orioles. Twins and the Red Sox at 10:35 at Fenway Park. Eric Crochet on the mound for the Red Sox. Chris Paddock on the mound for Minnesota. Guardians and the Blue Jays at 10:37 in Toronto. A's and the Marlins at 10:40 in Miami. Diamondbacks and the Phillies at 11:05 a.m. in Philadelphia. Ranger Suarez making his season debut for the Phillies. Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound for Arizona. Cubs and the Brewers at 11:10 a.m. in Milwaukee. Shota Imanaga on the mound for the Cubs. Freddie Peralta on the mound for Milwaukee. So a good starting pitching matchup in that one. Astros and the White Sox at 11:10 a.m. in Chicago. Mariners and the Rangers in Arlington at 11:35 a.m. Rockies and the Giants at 1:05 in San Francisco. Germán Marquez against Logan Webb in that one. The pitching matchup. Tigers and the Angels at 1:07 in Anaheim. Nationals and the Reds at 1:10 in Cincinnati. A couple of former Padres going at it in that one. Mackenzie Gore against Nick Martinez. And finally, Sunday Night Baseball. Dodgers in Atlanta against the Braves at 4 p.m. local time. Dustin May on the mound for L.A. Bryce Elder on the mound for Atlanta. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday. When we come back, we'll have what to watch for in today's game, a full look at our starting pitching matchup, and more as we get ready for this series finale in Pittsburgh. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game. Here on the Padres Radio Network, Padres going for a 3-game sweep in Pittsburgh and a 5th consecutive win. And the good news right now, we're scheduled for an on-time first pitch at 10:35 a.m. We go out to Jesse and Tony in less than 10 minutes at 10:25. Let's tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? The Bucks on the base paths. Here's why. With Jared Triolo's stolen base yesterday against the Padres, the Pirates have now stolen 39 bases so far this season. O'Neal Cruz has a lot of them. He leads the major leagues. The 39 stolen bases is tied for 4th most in the major leagues. And with right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound making his first major league start, it will be interesting to see today when he deals with base runners. How does he hold them on? Is he paying enough attention to him against a team in the Pirates that likes to run? Keep an eye on that today. How do the Padres manage the Pirates running game? That's what to watch for in this series finale. Tyler Wade joined the Gwynn and Chris program here on 97.3. Tyler Wade joined the Gwynn and Chris program here on 97.3 The Fan. Earlier this week, wanted to revisit a bit of what Tyler had to say. Here was Tyler Wade, who's been great so far after coming back up to the major leagues, on the process of finding out he wasn't making the team out of spring training and what happened from there.
And we had that tough conversation, which isn't always fun, but I kind of knew I was going to be back just because the timing of it all. Like, opening day was a day or two away. So, like I said, everything happens for a reason, man. Obviously, it was a gut punch, but I think in the near future, talking to Shilty and everyone, once I cleared waivers, the importance of me being back and knowing there's a path back and knowing how much I mean to this team and organization and the city of San Diego. It was just a matter of time, and I completely agreed with all of them, and I was like, no, like I said, I embody what a San Diego Padre is, and like I said, life has a weird way of working itself out, and and we're back here, and it's like I just went on a rehab stint essentially. So man, like I said, it's really nice as a player having a manager like Shilty fight for you and just make you feel important and wanted by our organization, and obviously AJ and Josh too. They both expressed their feelings towards me and how much value I bring to this team. So it wasn't like a negative conversation. It was just ended up being a numbers thing, and they all wanted me back. So I think, like I said, I'm just happy to be here and happy to be Padre.
That was Tyler Wade on the Gwynn and Chris program on Friday here on 97.3 The Fan. You can listen to that great full conversation on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts with Gwynn and Chris on demand. Let's preview today's pitching matchup in the Berg.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound for the Padres, 28 years old, making his first ever start in the major leagues, his 2025 Padres debut. So far at AAA El Paso this season, again, take these numbers with a grain of salt because it is the PCL. 6.38 ERA in 5 starts, 24 innings, 33 hits given up. He struck out 20, but a big number, he only walked 4. His 5 starts at AAA, 3 were solid, 2 were rough. The 2 bad starts, 13 earned runs given up in 9 innings. The 3 good starts, though, 15 innings of work and 4 earned runs allowed. Remember, in spring training, he was being built up to be a starter, posted a 2.60 ERA in 17-plus innings. Kolek had a 5.21 ERA in 42 bullpen appearances last season in his rookie year. Left-hander Andrew Heaney, the 33-year-old on the mound for Pittsburgh. 2025 with the Pirates, he's been really good. 6 starts, a 2.50 ERA in 36 innings. His last start against the Cubs, not great. 4 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs given up. His last 3 starts, though, combined have been really good. 4 earned runs total given up in 18 innings. Interesting, righties have hit him far worse than lefties. Lefties batting .265 against them. Righties at 151. Heaney has traditionally been great against the Padres, a 0.96 ERA in his career against San Diego. Hasn't faced them since 2022. That's when Heaney was with the Dodgers. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup. Stephen Kolek for the Padres and Andrew Heaney for Pittsburgh. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Well, for now, the rain has stayed away. We are ready for baseball on this Sunday. Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play coming up. You're listening to your home for Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.